Hello everyone. So there are some questions now. First of all is, could you clarify, is there a need to preserve hypophyseal arteries below the optic chiasma? Usually when we do a pituitary surgery, we don't even dissect near the arteries or hypophyseal arteries. We open up the sella, the dura of the pituitary gland, and then we remove the tumor from the pituitary gland. So the arteries are always preserved. The problem with the arteries only come when you're trying to do a translocation of the pituitary gland. Therefore, when we do it, we release the pituitary gland from whatever ligaments there may be, but we must preserve the hypophyseal arteries, otherwise the function of the pituitary gland is gone. The next question, do you preserve the bone on the anterior margin of sella for reconstruction other than drilling it completely? It's a good question. You can remove the bone of the sella and keep it to reconstruct, but most of the time in a pituitary tumor the bone is very, very thin, so you will not be able to use it. Only if you have a thick bone you can actually drill and keep a square piece of it and use it to reconstruct. So in majority of the cases of pituitary tumor, the bone is paper thin because the tumor has caused the gland to dilate. The bone is already thinned out and we will not be able to preserve the bone at all. Now, what will be my advice for someone starting endoscopic skull base surgery? The entire dissection that we did just now, we used, I did one side with basic cold instruments and the other side I did with powered instrument. That was because I wanted to show that both surgeries, both sides or both methods are equally good, equally fine. The beauty of the debrider, it gives you a precise cutting ability. With a cold instrument, unless you use true cutting that is sharp, there is always the possibility of stripping mucosa, which you do not want to do in an endoscopic sinus surgery. So you must be conservative when you do endoscopic sinus surgery by preserving as much mucosa as possible, leaving no bone exposed. In posterior skull base surgery or endoscopic skull base surgery, you can be a bit more aggressive and remove mucosa because there will be some amount of reepithelialization. And for someone who is going to start skull base surgery, it all comes down to anatomy, anatomy, anatomy. You must be able to look at a CT scan and MRI scan, sagittal, axial, coronal, and put it into your mind in a 3D manner so that you have a 3D anatomy in your mind. The IGS is a great tool, but it can't do the surgery for you. It cannot tell you what to do. It can only tell you the anatomy that you should already know in your mind. The IGS just confirms the anatomy for you. So unless in very difficult cases, recurrent tumors, post-radiotherapy, then the IGS will tell you where the anatomy is. But most of the time, you should know your anatomy and use the IGS to confirm. The other thing you must remember is you must always double check to make sure the IGS has not run. Because if the IGS has run and you're not aware of it and you do not know your anatomy, then you operate based on your IGS, you can have problems. The other thing is instruments, right? You need good instruments. You need powered instruments if you want to do skull base. You need debriders if you want to cut precisely, and you need drills. You need high-speed drills, and you must know when to use the cutting drill, when to use the diamond drill. But the minute you are intracranial, always do with a neurosurgeon. All right? Always dance with a neurosurgeon, because at the end of the day, what really matters is the patient. If you had a problem, you would want the best possible ENT surgeon to do the exposure to the skull base. And you will want the best possible neurosurgeon to do the intracranial part for you. So we should give the patient the same as what we would give to ourselves. Always work with a neurosurgeon when it's intracranial. Work together, respect each other's boundaries, and you will go to great heights. With this, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having us. It's a Saturday, for spending your precious weekend with us. I would like to thank the Medtronic team for making this possible. the team from Cape Town and South Africa, as well as the Sunskill Lab in this university. Thank you very much. And last of all, we all like to wish Agnieszka happy birthday, 25th birthday tomorrow, right? Happy birthday. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.